I froze in my doorway when I saw her on her knees, not crying, not broken, scrubbing my kitchen floor. The same woman who fired people with a look, the same woman whose name sat on the top floor of a glass tower, my CEO. And when she looked up at me and whispered, "I owed your wife my life," my knees gave out. I was late again. Late to pick up my daughter, late on rent, late on sleep, late on grief. Life didn't slow down after my wife died, it sped up, like it was trying to outrun my pain. I unlocked the door with one hand while balancing groceries in the other, already preparing myself for the familiar chaos inside. Toys on the floor, dishes in the sink, silence so loud it hurt. But the moment I stepped in, I smelled lemon cleaner. Not old food, not dust, cleaner. My heart jumped. I dropped the grocery bag, and then I heard movement. A woman stood up from my kitchen floor, sleeves rolled, hair tied back, hands red from scrubbing. She turned, and the world tilted. It was Evelyn Cross, CEO, billionaire, the woman whose office sat above the clouds, standing in my kitchen, cleaning my house. "What are you doing here?" I asked, my voice cracking. She didn't answer right away. She just looked at me. Not like a boss, not like a billionaire, but like someone standing in a place filled with ghosts. "I let myself in," she said softly. "Your key was under the mat, same place it used to be." Used to be? My stomach twisted. "You shouldn't be here," I said. "This is inappropriate." She nodded. "You're right," she whispered. "But I didn't come as your CEO." She glanced at the framed photo on the wall. My wife, smiling. And that's when I noticed Evelyn's hands were shaking. "You cleaned the living room," I said slowly. "I did. It looked tired." So did I. The couch was folded neatly. My daughter's drawings were stacked. The sink was empty. No one had touched this house since my wife passed. No one except me, and now her. "You didn't have to," I muttered. "I wanted to," she said. Then she sat down, on the floor, right where my wife used to sit while folding laundry. "I didn't know how else to say thank you," Evelyn said. That word, thank you, it didn't belong here. At work, Evelyn Cross didn't see me. I was just another analyst, another late submission, another quiet employee who never joined office lunches. She didn't know I skipped meals so my daughter could eat better. She didn't know I worked nights after bedtime. She didn't know my grief lived in my bones. But now she was here, in my house, in my pain. "You could have sent flowers," I said bitterly. "I sent them," she replied. "You never opened the card." "I didn't. I couldn't." "Do you remember her?" I asked. Evelyn closed her eyes. "Yes." My chest tightened. "She saved my life," she whispered. The room went still. "What?" I breathed. "She pulled me out of a burning car 10 years ago," Evelyn said. "I was pregnant, trapped, screaming. My wife, brave even then. She didn't know who I was," Evelyn continued. "She just acted." I sat down hard. "She never told me," I whispered. "She didn't want credit," Evelyn said. "She just wanted me to live." Evelyn stood and walked toward the photo. "I searched for her for years," she said. "When I finally found her, she was already sick. Cancer. The word I still couldn't say out loud. She refused money," Evelyn said. "Refused help. She only asked one thing." My throat burned. "She asked me to watch over you," Evelyn whispered. "And your daughter." Tears blurred my vision. "So you hired me?" I asked. "Yes." "So you never fired me?" "No." So every extension, every quiet approval, I was keeping a promise. That night, my daughter ran into the kitchen. "Daddy," she shouted, "Miss Evelyn made spaghetti." Evelyn laughed through tears. "She has your wife's smile," she said. I broke. I cried the way I hadn't since the hospital room. Ugly, loud, shaking. Evelyn knelt and held my hands. "You are not alone," she said. "I cleaned because she used to clean when I was afraid," Evelyn said. She sang while blood was on her hands. My wife, always singing. I thought if I cleaned this house, maybe I could feel her again. We both cried. Two people bound by one woman's courage. Evelyn didn't rush her words. She stood near the window, looking out at the dark street, as if she was giving me time to breathe, or maybe time to decide if I was ready to hear what she was about to say. "I want to help," she said again, slower this time, "but not in a way that makes you feel small." That sentence alone almost broke me, because for months, help had felt like pity, charity, handouts wrapped in forced smiles. I crossed my arms, more out of habit than resistance. "I don't want sympathy. I just want to work. I want to earn." She turned to face me fully. "And you will," she replied firmly. "That's why this isn't a favor." She explained the role: flexible hours, remote work, leadership responsibilities. Not less work, different work. Work that understood I was a father before I was an employee. "You don't owe me this," I said quietly. Her voice softened. "I don't owe you," she corrected. "I owe the woman who pulled me out of fire when she had nothing to gain." My chest tightened again. "And I won't insult her memory by offering you anything that takes away your dignity." That was the moment I realized this wasn't about power. It was about respect. Evelyn reached into her bag and pulled out an envelope. The second I saw the handwriting, my breath caught. I hadn't seen that writing in so long. Neat, careful, familiar in a way that made my hands shake before I even touched it. "She asked me to give this to you if you ever needed it," Evelyn said. I didn't open it right away. Fear held me still, because reading it would make everything real again. Finally, I unfolded the paper. Her words stared back at me. Not dramatic, not poetic, just her. "If you're reading this, it means I didn't get to say goodbye the way I wanted. Please don't let grief convince you that you failed me. You didn't. You loved me fully. That was enough." My vision blurred. "Take care of our child the way you take care of everyone else, patiently, gently. And when you forget who you are, let someone remind you." The paper trembled in my hands. I had spent so long believing I was failing, as a husband, as a father, as a man. She had known, and she had prepared a lifeline. I folded the letter and pressed it to my chest. That was the moment I truly collapsed. There was no dramatic music moment, no sudden relief. Healing didn't arrive like light breaking through clouds. It came quietly. Evelyn didn't say anything after that. She didn't touch me. She didn't try to fix the moment. She just sat on the couch, hands folded, giving me space to break without feeling watched. I cried the way people cry when they finally stop pretending they're okay, when the weight shifts, not disappears, but moves just enough to breathe. Minutes passed, maybe longer. When I finally looked up, Evelyn's eyes were red too. "She loved you deeply," she said. "I could see it in the way she spoke about you." That mattered more than she probably realized, because grief lies. It tells you you weren't enough. That sentence silenced it, even if only for a moment. After Evelyn left, the house didn't feel empty. It felt acknowledged, like someone had finally seen the mess, not just the physical one, but the emotional wreckage, and hadn't turned away. Later that night, my daughter crawled into my lap. "Daddy," she said softly, "why were you crying earlier?" I hesitated. Then I chose honesty. "Because Mommy was very brave," I said, "and sometimes brave people leave behind big feelings." She thought about that, then hugged me tight. "I miss her," she whispered. "I do too," I replied. But this time, saying it didn't crush me. When I tucked her into bed, I stood in the doorway for a long moment, listening to her breathe. Then I walked back into the kitchen. The floor was clean, the counters were wiped. But what felt different wasn't the house, it was me. Grief was still there, love was still there, but now so was support. And for the first time since losing my wife, I understood something clearly. The story didn't end when she died, it changed. And somehow, through promises kept and kindness returned, we were still moving forward. That night, after the lights were off and the house finally went quiet, I stood alone in the kitchen. The same kitchen where I had once argued with my wife over small things that didn't matter. The same floor where my CEO had knelt, not as a powerful woman, but as someone grateful. I placed my hand on the counter and closed my eyes. For the first time since my wife died, I didn't ask why she was gone. I understood why she was here, even after death. She lived in promises kept. She lived in kindness returned. She lived in the future she protected without ever knowing how far it would reach. I walked into my daughter's room one last time before sleeping. She turned in her bed and smiled, half asleep. "We're okay, Daddy," she murmured. And I realized something then, something that finally loosened the knot in my chest. Love doesn't end when a person leaves. Sometimes it works quietly behind the scenes, sending help, sending strength, sending people who remind you that you were never meant to survive alone. I turned off the light, and for the first time in a long time, the house didn't feel like a place I was surviving in. It felt like a home again. Do you believe kindness always finds its way back, even when the person who started it is no longer here? If this story touched you, share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for more stories like this.